Imagine this, a young nurse standing in the dimly lit hospital corridor, exhausted after another endless shift. Her name was Sarah, just 24, fighting her way through life with a smile that often hid her struggles. What she didn't know was that her life was about to take a turn so unexpected, it would sound more like a fairy tale than reality. But before we dive into this journey of love, sacrifice, and fate, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us as we share stories that will touch your heart and remind you that miracles still happen. Sarah had grown up in poverty, losing her parents too young, and raising her younger brother on her own. Nursing wasn't just a career for her, it was her lifeline, her way to keep food on the table and hope in her heart. She worked tirelessly in a local hospital, never complaining, even when she skipped meals or slept only 3 hours before rushing back to her patients. The world never seemed fair to her, but Sarah kept telling herself that kindness mattered more than money. One night, she was assigned to a new patient, an older man named David. He was in his early 50s, a widower who had been battling a rare and painful illness. His face carried years of sorrow, yet his eyes held a spark of something gentle, something that drew Sarah closer. At first, he was distant, refusing to talk, but Sarah's persistence, her warmth, and her ability to treat him not just as a patient but as a human being, slowly began to melt the walls he had built around his heart. What Sarah didn't know was that David wasn't just another patient. He was the secret owner of the very hospital she worked in. A billionaire who had built an empire but had hidden his identity to be treated like everyone else. To the world, he was just another dying man, but to Sarah, he became a fragile soul who needed care, not for his wealth, but for his weary heart. As weeks turned into months, their bond deepened. Sarah would sit by his bedside, telling him stories about her life, her dreams, and her little brother. Sometimes, she would laugh through her tears, and David found himself laughing too, a sound he thought had disappeared with the death of his wife years ago. He began to live again, not because his illness was healing, but because Sarah reminded him what it meant to be loved. Then one day, out of nowhere, David proposed to her. It shocked everyone, including Sarah. She thought it was ridiculous at first. She was young, poor, and had nothing to offer him. But David insisted. "I don't want riches, I don't want youth, I just want someone who loves me for who I am. And that person is you, Sarah." After much hesitation, and with her brother's encouragement, Sarah said yes. Their wedding was small, held in the hospital chapel, with just a few staff members as witnesses. There were no diamonds, no gold, no grandeur. Yet for Sarah, it was the most beautiful day of her life, because she married for love, not money, not status. She didn't care that David was sick, or that their time together might be short, she believed love itself was worth it. But life had another surprise waiting. Just days after their marriage, David's health took a severe downturn. Sarah stayed by his side, never leaving his hand, whispering words of comfort even as his body grew weaker. And then, in a moment of breathless silence, David revealed the truth. With tears in his eyes, he told Sarah that he was the billionaire owner of the hospital, the man who had built everything she had been working in. Sarah froze in shock. She couldn't believe it. All along, she had loved him without knowing his wealth, without ever expecting anything. David looked at her with a faint smile and said, "That's why I chose you. Because you are the only person who saw me as a man, not a fortune." Soon after, David passed away peacefully in Sarah's arms, leaving her heart shattered but also full of a love she would never forget. What Sarah didn't realize was that David had left everything to her. The hospital, his wealth, his legacy, all of it. Overnight, the struggling nurse who barely had enough to buy her brother's schoolbooks became the head of a vast empire. But what makes this story truly powerful is what Sarah did next. She didn't spend the money on herself. Instead, she invested it back into the hospital, opening free wards for the poor, building schools for children like her brother, and creating opportunities for young nurses who, like her, dreamed of making a difference despite their struggles. Her life became an inspiration. From being a girl who had nothing to becoming a woman who gave everything, Sarah proved that true wealth isn't measured in money, but in love, compassion, and the legacy we leave behind. So, if this story touched your heart, remember, life can change in an instant, and love can come when you least expect it. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more inspiring stories, and share this message. Kindness is the greatest fortune we can ever possess. Sarah stood at the window of her tiny apartment, staring at the city lights that glittered like unreachable stars. Her brother, Ali, only 12 years old, was asleep on the couch. She smiled faintly, brushing his hair from his forehead. He had no idea how much she sacrificed, how she sometimes skipped meals to make sure he had enough to eat. Her dream was simple, to give him a better life, even if it meant she had to break herself in the process. The next morning, exhaustion clung to her as she walked into the hospital. Her colleagues often teased her for working too much, but Sarah always answered with the same gentle smile, "Patients don't wait for our convenience. They need us."